To answer these, I need to briefly go into history. And I'm not going to cover too much, but basically, we have 10 gurus. 1469 to 1708 is when they lived. Until Vaisakhi Day, which means, roughly speaking, you can say April 14, 1699, there are already 200 years which had gone by. What had happened in those 200 years in Punjab? This is what this is saying. 10 Nanaks means the 10 gurus of the Sikhs. Basically, their focus was they had a mission, particular mission they came here for, and particular values they were imparting. Now, this is a kind of conversation which is not taking place even among Sikhs these days, because the celebration has shifted. What was that mission, and what were those values? I'll briefly touch upon them. But first thing I want to mention is when Sikhs use the word guru, it does not mean an expert. It does not mean, if you look at some of the Bollywood or Hollywood movies now, the guru can mean a con man as well. Guru does not mean any of that. If you go to India and watch CBC or PBS documentaries, you might think, they present India as being land of the gurus. So it's nothing like that. Guru in Sikh context has a very specific meaning. Gu means darkness and Ru means light. Somebody who takes you from ignorance to enlightenment. So for Sikhs, Guru is not just a teacher or a master or even a prophet. The word actually is Guru itself. It is perfection. So for us, people who are giving us a particular mission as well as a wisdom to implement that mission are the Gurus. This is what Gurus did for 240 years in the land of Punjab. And this is the original Punjab map. Half of it went to India and the other half into Pakistan in 1947. So when we are looking at the political ramifications, I want to mention this here as well. Every politics, and you know this, whether you see a cry of a woman from Libya today, the news, which is in the news for the last 2 weeks, or whether what is happening in changing boundaries of the Middle East and the political ramifications, every politics is somehow attached to land. That's just how it is, including the boundaries here in British Columbia, right? The land masses, the boundaries get decided as to what politics are, including, your election just had redistricting, I was hearing. So it is attached to land. So when you have Sikhs celebrating or commemorating Vaisakhi in varieties of ways, just understand that it is also attached to land, including what happened in 47, including what happened in 1984. So the images you say somehow need to be located within that context. And by the way, this was the Punjab in 47. If you look at it, it looks like a butterfly. What happens when you clip one of the wings? You can't fly. And I generally say Punjabis and Sikhs haven't figured out who they are, what they're really working towards since 47. Because there is incredible trauma in their psyche, and add to it the trauma of 84, and we really are not focused on what our mission and values are. We still haven't figured out how to deal with what happened in 47 and 84. Coming back to the Sikh context again, the Guru is perfection, that wisdom which is showing us how to explore our own divine potential, as well as give us particular values so we can run our affairs of lives. Now, what is it supposed to be for Sikhs? And this is where it becomes very important for Khalsa. It basically is that you need to become a free individual while you are here on this earth. And you're going to use the Force to figure out how to do it. If you're a Star Wars fan, the Force is another word for God. Actually, Sikhs don't even use the word God. The whole of Guru Granth Sahib has the equivalent of the word God in Punjabi is Rab. It comes once in our scripture. Primarily, the focus in Guru Granth Sahib is on developing your values, developing attributes, and those are the words which are used for God. So why am I mentioning this here? This is what Sikhs are supposed to be, that you use the Force to become like divinity. Whatever your idea of God is, divine is, you need to be just like it. And everything which Sikhs and Khalsa is supposed to do is geared toward that. And all this needs to happen today, right now. This is not about when you die, there's a space, I know other cultures believe this, but Sikhs doctrinally do not believe in it, although popular culture believes that there is also, that you're going to get a guaranteed spot in heaven if you do certain things. Actually, that's not doctrinally accurate. The whole of Sikh doctrine is driving, you need to do things right now. You need to make your characteristics and behavior such that your lifestyle reflects that you are religious, not that you're going to get a spot somewhere where nobody has guarantees of. It's actually, religion is a big business from that angle. You can give guarantees of something which nobody has seen. Who's going to come back to check on you? Anyway, I'll leave the jokes aside. Coming back to this is what gurus did. This was the leadership they were giving. It is not accurate to call gurus as spiritualists. It is totally inaccurate. When Sikhs say that they were spiritual leaders, that is not a complete statement. They were leaders, period. They developed cities, they were politically active, they were socially active. Obviously, they were spiritually active as well. So they are complete leaders who are showing how to act in life, in daily life, including dealing with the governance of life, which is where politics comes in. This is why Sikhs exist. This is why Khalsa was created, or inaugurated rather. And this might, again, most Sikhs also need to understand this, but at least if you see the doctrine of the Sikhs, maybe it can help you understand why Sikhs behave in the way they do behave. First reason Sikhs exist is to create an egalitarian society. What that means is this idea of, I don't want to say equality, it's more related to dignity. Because even if you use the notions of equality, somebody has to decide who's equal. So, again, you're relying on someone else to tell you, now we give, for example, women certain right to vote or suffrage or whatever. So equality is not really the idea. Egalitarianism is where equity is there as well, where everyone is treated with respect and dignity. And this is what gurus did for 240 years, and Sikhs are supposed to be doing. If they're not doing this, I humbly submit they're not really following the Sikh way. They might be following the protocols of the religion, they might look like a Sikh, but they're really not following the ideals of the Sikhs. Second is, they're supposed to fight domination. Now this might be of interest to you. There are only two dominating forces in the world, back then 500 years ago, even today, and usually they are religious and political forces. And usually at some point, without sounding like a conspiracy theorist, at some point they collide. Even in America, as William Rehnquist, former Chief Justice there, he wrote a dissenting opinion that even in America there is no separation of church and state. It's superfluous, because it is a Judeo-Christian heritage which is driving most of the laws. Anyway, the point is, they do collide at some point. This is why if you look at the American presidents in the two-party system there, for example, you'll notice whether it was a Democratic president or Republican president, they all worked with Mr. Graham, Billy Graham. So there is something going on there as well. What Sikhs came, when the Sikhs came on the scene, the idea was you're supposed to fight domination. Nobody is going to tell you how to live. You're supposed to fight the forces which are not allowing you to be free. Mentally free, spiritually free, economically free, politically free, and you fill in the blanks. So if Sikhs themselves become the dominating force, they need to be kept in check as well. That's what this means. And Sikhs have done this effectively. They actually did it to even Ranjit Singh, their only king, when he tried to do that. So he had to be shown that, hey, you cannot be an agent of domination. Your job is to exist to make sure nobody is dominating anyone. And the third part is capturing political power for plebeian mission. Plebeian basically means a commoner, capturing power for a common person. Now, this is of some interest to perhaps all of you. Actually, all the politicians will be more interesting for you. So what does this mean in today's context? The question might be, today you're not fighting wars like you used to earlier. Actually, you sort of are, but I don't want to get into that. But how does everyday person deal with this idea of capturing political power? What it means is, people's representative. Whether you're a chief in police or whether you are a local MLA or MP, this is how you capture political power. Sikhs were told you should capture political power not for self-aggrandizement, not for only your own community, but for plebeian mission, which means for common person. And when you look in Sikh history, a lot of that happened as well. At some point there was a degeneration in this, and obviously you see a lot of the degeneration today as well. But Sikhs were told to capture political power as well, but for a common person. If these are the reasons to exist as a Sikh, then what are the two biggest challenges? And basically what this is saying is, Sikhs back then saw these two as being the biggest dominating issues. Even today we see these being the two biggest issues in the world. And basically they both deal with exclusivism. There still isn't equal treatment for people. There is, in the Indian context, there's a casteist mentality or a tribalist or whatever, groupism, whatever you want to call it. Religions are saying only religious sects have their own exclusivisms going on. And the second issue is gender. There really isn't a gender equality. I mean, we can sit here and say, yes, I know one of the political party, without mentioning it, they probably said that certain percentage of their candidates are women. When you still have to make those claims, it's like, me standing up here and saying to all of you, I'm a gentleman. I shouldn't have to say it. It needs to come out in my actions. So the issue is that these two remain. To answer these, I need to briefly go into history. And I'm not going to cover too much, but basically, we have 10 gurus. 1469 to 1708 is when they lived. Until Vaisakhi Day, which means, roughly speaking, you can say April 14, 1699, there are already 200 years which had gone. Perfection. So for us, people who are giving us a particular mission, as well as a wisdom to implement that mission, are the gurus. This is what gurus did for 240 years in the land of Punjab. And this is the original Punjab map. Half of it went to India and the other half into Pakistan in 1947. So when we are looking at the political ramifications, I want to mention this here. Or previous documentaries, you might think, they present India as being land of the gurus. So it's nothing like that. Guru in Sikh context has a very specific meaning. Gu means darkness and Ru means light. Somebody who takes you from ignorance to enlightenment. So for Sikhs, Guru is not just a teacher or a master or even a prophet. The word actually is Guru itself. It is why. What had happened in those 200 years in Punjab? This is what this is saying. 10 Nanaks means the 10 Gurus of the Sikhs. Basically, their focus was they had a mission, particular mission they came here for, and particular values they were imparting. Now, this is a kind of conversation which is not taking place even among Sikhs these days, because the celebration has shifted. What was that mission and what were those values? I'll briefly touch upon them. But first thing I want to mention is when Sikhs use the word Guru, it does not mean an expert. It does not mean, if you look at some of the Bollywood or Hollywood movies now, the Guru can mean a con man as well. Guru does not mean any of that. If you go to India and watch CBC